the characters that were missing from the film adaptation of the Harry Potter franchise.
Good Lord.
Peeves is actually a poltergeist. The difference between him and a ghost is he's actually corporeal. He can interact with his environment around him.
And he does.
He was the pet peeve of all of the Hogwarts caretakers, leading all the way back to Hankerton Humble, who was appointed by the founders. Yes. So that's where Peeves comes from. Who is the first character that was left out that we would have seen on screen?
Dudley's best friend.
Piers Polkiss. He was the one who always held kids' arms behind their back so that Dudley could punch them.
Did Dudley have a gang at 11?
Kind of, yeah. He was also the one who told on Harry for talking to the boa constrictor, not a Burmese python. And he told Vernon, and that was Harry's longest punishment ever. And it was Piers Polkiss' fault. Another character that was left out, Charlie Weasley. My brother Charlie studies dragons in Romania. The whole storyline surrounding Norbert the dragon, he's actually kind of pivotal to that.
He's definitely pivotal to that, but they redid the entirety of the Norbert experience.
Charlie Weasley, Ron's oldest brother, he studies dragons in Romania. He actually was the Gryffindor Quidditch captain and could have been on to be a professional, according to Oliver Wood. Somebody that I often mention is Ludo Bagman. We meet him working for the Department of Magical Games and Sports in the fourth book, the 1994 Quidditch World Cup. And then we also meet him because of his involvement in the Triwizard Tournament. He was helping to organize that. He was a notorious gambling addict. I think that Ludo Bagman's exclusion was critical.
Absolutely.
His character portrayal in the books leads to a lot of misdirects. There's all these times where you're like, is this a bad guy? Like, is he the protagonist for this book? Because
he's wicked sketchy.
We didn't get to see the leprechauns.
Nope.
And we didn't see the Vila. That was actually a really important exclusion.
Absolutely it was.
Because a character we meet later,
Fleur,
is rumored to be half Vila.
I mean, Harry almost jumps off the highest rung in the stands.
Yeah, after the Vilas.
After the Vilas.
Yeah.
Frank and Alice Longbottom, Neville's mother and father, tortured for information right after the fall of Voldemort by Bellatrix Lestrange.
Along with Barty Crouch Jr., Rodolphus Lestrange, to insanity, to the point where like they literally couldn't function as humans anymore.
For the rest of their lives, they ended up in St. Mungo's.
On the Janus Thicky ward.
Their characters were more or less left out of the movies. They are briefly discussed.
Yeah, they're mentioned a couple times. I think the first time we hear about them in the movies for the first time in Order of the Phoenix, when Sirius shows Harry the Order of the Phoenix photograph.
Fate worse than death, if you ask me.
He had to grow up with the next unmentioned character,
which is Augusta Longbottom.
Yeah. We do see her clothing on Snape, which is interesting, but we never see her. There's a really, really emotional scene that takes place at St. Mungo's when they're visiting Arthur Weasley. They end up running into Neville and his grandmother. I think as they're leaving, his mother Alice ends up coming up to him. This is like such a sad scene to read and would have played out so good on film. The mom comes up to him and hands him a gum wrapper. That whole scene, from Alice's perspective, I know you're important to me, but I can't remember why. But I know I love you and you're important to me. And so I need to give you something to show you that. And that's like such a devastating, the exclusion of that was terrible.
In regards to Augusta Longbottom, the most pivotal scene I think of is when she busts through the portrait in the Room of Requirement during the Battle of Hogwarts. Go off, Augusta.
She's a boss.
She really is.
The next character I want to mention, Winky the House Elf with the Malfoys.
Personal invitation of Cornelius Fudge himself.
I hated how the movies made it seem like the Malfoys got a one-up on the Weasleys. They were in the same box. The house elf of the Crouch family. She is seen sitting alone, but we come to later find out that there's actually somebody sitting next to her under an invisibility cloak and supposedly under the Imperious Curse. Winky using a wizard's wand is that's a no-go. Develops a butterbeer addiction, and Dobby always has to clean up after her, puts Winky's butterbeer bottles in
the Room of Requirement.
Dobby is the one who ends up telling Harry about the Room of Requirement, not Neville.
Not Neville.
We'll move on.
The Gaunts. Marvolo is Voldemort's grandfather.
Merope is his mother. Marvolo is very abusive, emotionally, I think physically to Merope. So Morphin was the other one. They all live together outside of a little Hangleton. It's like a northern English village. She sees this man go by on a horse, and she becomes like infatuated with him. And that was Tom Riddle Sr. Morphin ends up attacking a bunch of muggles in the village and ended up getting picked up by the Ministry of Magic. He attacked a Ministry official. I think the father attacked the Ministry official as well. They both ended up getting hauled off to jail. The next characters are Andromeda Black, eventually Tonks, and Ted Tonks, Nymphadora's parent.
Andromeda was the mother of Tonks.
Yep.
Don't call me Nymphadora. And sister to Bellatrix and Narcissa.
Teddy Lupin, Remus and Nymphadora's son. Harry is never asked to be the godfather in the movies.
Has Harry demonstrated any qualities that suggest that he would be a good caretaker?
Did Sirius? Even though Remus was a werewolf, Teddy was born with no signs of lycanthropy, but he did inherit Nymphadora's Animorph Magi abilities. So he could change his appearance at will, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dennis Creevy. There is a funny scene on his way into Hogwarts. It was like a really, really, really stormy night. And he was thrown overboard into the Black Lake. And the giant squid picks him up and dumps him back into the boat.
Yes.
And
oh
that
my
would have been really fun to see.
Yeah, absolutely.
I really hope they do that.